Hey, Mom, are you kind of frustrated with some of the boundaries around social media, maybe access to online Googling, just online everything when it comes to your teenage daughter? I have an expert here, Tom Arnold, who will be discussing some of the things to be really aware and cautious of. He is a cybersecurity expert and a digital forensics investigator. Yes, I have the big guns here. And he's an educator. He lectures on digital forensics and incident response at San Jose State University and at UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, where he is also helping to develop a new digital evidence and forensics degree program at that university. He's also the co-founder of payment software company and now part of NCC Group. Arnold has led large-scale breach investigations, some involving more than 7,000 servers, and served as lead investigator in complex threat hunting operations. He has testified before the U.S. Senate and House on cybersecurity legislation and sits on the steering committee for the Las Vegas branch of the USSS Cyber Fraud Task Force. He also serves as operations manager at Cloud 10 Studios, a full-service animation studio that creates original series, long-form content, and commercial projects. He has a novel called The Digital Detective, First Intervention, which was inspired by real-life cybersecurity scares when Arnold's grandson was approached by a stranger on roadblocks despite parental controls. So we're going to be talking about some real-life stories that Tom has come across with kids interacting with predators, for lack of a better word, that lurk online. And Mama, this is not at all for you to be scared or fearful or forever banned social media from your daughter, because believe me, she's going to find a way anyway. So this is a great episode to listen to just to equip yourself, become aware, and know the next steps on communicating some of these legitimate scares and concerns when it comes to online presence as well as online predators. Before we get into our interview and jump right in, I wanted to also let you know, Mama, is Raising Her Confidently is going once a week for the rest of the holiday season. We want you to connect with your daughter during this time instead of always listening to this podcast, which I so appreciate, but we want to give you a break. Every new episode on Mondays are coming out. So come back next Monday for a new episode of Raising Her Confidently. We will be doing this once a week for the holiday season. So just make sure you are following Raising Her Confidently podcast and put that alarm on to come back on Mondays for a brand new episode talking about open communication with your teenage daughter. If you are frustrated with how to get your teenage daughter to open up to you because all you want is to connect with her as you once did, you're in the right place. Hey, I'm Jeannie Baldomero, a former rebellious teen, now mom of 3 young adults, educator, and the mom mentor, equipping you to create open communication with your girl so she can come to you about anything, even if she's scared. So grab your oat milk latte, breathe, and let's do this together. Hey Mama, this is my invitation to you. Join me in the Talk to Your Teen Girl framework. It's a 6-week course that will get you started in creating a space for your teen to feel safe and respond in a way where your teen girl will feel heard and understood. You are building trust so you can get what you want most from your daughter, and that is to come to you about anything, even if she's scared. So head on now to talktoyourteengirl.com. That's talktoyourteengirl.com. Hi, mamas. I have a special guest on here. I know we do talk about technology and the concerns that we have with social media, but I actually have an expert on, and you're going to want to listen to this. It's Tom Arnold. He's the author of The Digital Detective, and he's speaking to young adults specifically about the digital age, being online, and I'm just going to go ahead and let him talk. Hey, Tom, how are you?
I am very well, Jeannie. Thank you for having me on today. I appreciate it. So, just to sort of kick a few things off, um, having worked in the cybersecurity and digital forensic investigations, ranging from criminal investigations right through all sorts of corporate investigations over the years, I've watched the topic of cybercrime evolve.
Mm.
And right now it's evolved into basically almost 12 different categories, what we call typologies. And each of these present a unique threat, especially to young adults. You know, when we talk about cybercrime, all of us sort of think about hacking.
Hmm.
They think about malware and automated attacks. Well, that can be a problem for kids too, okay? Maybe a little less so the hacking, but the hacking is a problem as well. And then there's image-based abuse,
Mm.
and along with sexual exploitation, child kidnapping, extremism and cyber terror, warfare and intelligence operations, and illicit markets. And the reality is, I'm just listing this as a set of categories right now because there's so much to think about. I'm not trying to create fear.
Right.
I am absolutely trying to equip people with tools specifically. So I'll start with one little story, if you don't mind.
Of course, I love
A,
stories.
a friend and colleague, okay, when she was a teenage girl, not too many years ago, she wanted to go to the beach really bad with her friends. And her mom said, nope, you're not going. So daughter was very upset, locked herself in the room. She decided to join her friends online and put on her bikini,
Mm.
lay down on the bed, and take photos of herself wearing the bikini with a tagline that said, see, I'm with you at the beach and I'm having fun too.
Mm.
About 5 days passed and the photo was sent back to her. Only the bikini had been removed.
Mm.
This is the
It's
beginning of a
crazy.
potential sextortion, is really what this is. She was in great fear. She went to her mom and said, this is what I did. This is what happened. Help me.
Hmm.
Okay, which is the right answer. We want the kids to do that.
Right.
Okay. Now, mom didn't employ the technique that I'm suggesting, which is having a safe harbor that if a kid brings you a cybersecurity problem, no matter how emotional it might be, no matter how angry you might be, or
Right.
how you think they were foolish, okay, the word is don't explode, keep it low, stay down below the emotion level, and realize that this is a safe harbor. It's a safe harbor for them to bring it to you.
Yes.
Now, it was fabulous that she did this. It's fabulous that it didn't become an emotional concern and she didn't succumb to the potential extortions that were brought up. Okay. And the mom reacted very properly, realizing that the mom didn't really have the tools to deal with this problem either.
Mm.
Together, she and her daughter activated law enforcement, which is the correct answer in this situation. Get help. Okay. But you need to do that in a non emotional, non flaming environment, basically, is
Right.
what needs to happen.
Right. That's important.
So that's an example of one of the things that came to me after I did the novel. And, I put the book together specifically, if you don't mind me talking momentarily with regards to that.
Sure. No problem.
About 2.5 years ago, my grandson, who at the time would have been age 7, now his parents are very cybersecurity aware. The dad's a director of one of the big Washington corporations in cybersecurity.
Hmm.
And he was playing a game called Roblox, which you may have heard some things about. Game,
Right.
okay? And they had all the parental controls on, all the monitoring and all that sort of good stuff going on, which they should do. And suddenly an avatar appears to my grandson on the screen and holds up a sign that says, "What's your name and where do you live?"
Hmm.
Now, this is just a character holding up a sign. Okay, I'm not doing a good job with my hands here. Okay. That asks those questions. Well, they had set up a safe harbor, basically. No matter how much trouble the kids were in, whether they just broke something, whether the the three boys were fighting, whatever. Okay. That sort of situation immediately went into the safe harbor. And he went directly to mom and said, Mom, see this? What should I do? Now that's fabulous.
Right.
Okay. And I started to realize as a professor at UNLV and teaching on the subject of cybersecurity, I've taught undergraduate courses with a large number of students, and I always would try to talk about cyber hygiene and cyber safety.
Mm.
And I really felt like, even though these were supposedly kids in the major, okay, that I was talking to a wall.
Hmm.
Okay, it just, a lot of them felt they knew better than me. Okay.
It
Okay.
happens.
B, you know, no, I don't use Instagram, InstaChat, whatever. Okay. All right. But I do understand how the technology is used and how it can be abused. All right. So, based on the story of my grandson and my own experiences, I decided to start putting the novels together, The Digital Detective, with a hope that I could begin to educate some of the kids using fun stories and storytelling. And some of the reviews have, I have at least one victory when a parent complimented and said his son brought him things and started talking about the technology, and he felt it was an extreme win because he let him read the book.
Right.
And it is a young adult novel, but I'm sorry, I'm going on a little too much on that subject. But that's why I began putting it together, and that's sort of the strategy that I'm beginning to follow now as far as my outreach and the work that I'm doing right now.
It sounds like you're doing an amazing job based on personal experiences and stories that you've heard. I mean, how scary are the things that are innocent, right? They become innocent, but can be exploited in the way where it was never intended. And I loved the tip and the point that you're bringing home is that to be able to be that safe harbor for your children if they find themselves in that position, whether it be intentional or unintentional. How do we react to that, right?
Right. Especially as a parent, you may not work with the technology. The kids may seem way more savvy.
Yeah.
One parent that I was talking to just about 6 months ago made a comment to me that she felt it was easier to talk to her kids about sex than it was cybersecurity.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Yeah.
Okay, and that really is hitting the nail on the head. She was in great fear that she would embarrass herself, she would look silly, she would lose face. I mean, all of these statements were made to me. She would lose face in front of her kids, everything else. And that's where, for parents, I think there's a couple of strategies that have to be sort of put in place here. First off, is surrender to a fact that was actually described in 1993
Mm.
in a cartoon in the New Yorker. It was a cartoon of a dog sitting at a computer, and it said, on the internet, nobody knows you're a dog.
Huh.
I'm sorry, that's absolutely true.
Yep.
So now I want to give you two differences, parents and moms especially. There's two things to think about here. There's the concept of friends online. Now, friends online are people that you know outside of technology. Now, high schools, especially high schools right now, and universities and undergraduate, will use chat tools and say, okay, we're going to have a group project. We're going to put 5 of you in a chat room together. And so you become friends. You know these friends who are online with you at that time. And it's important to know that there's still some risks, even though you're isolated with just the 5 friends. On the internet, nobody knows you're a dog. You
Mm.
don't know if one of the 5 people may have lost control of their account and somebody else is acting as them. You don't know if it's a parent who's acting as them. So it's now being very cautious as to the topics discussed. And in that situation where we have a chat room for a school project, the only communications should be around the project itself. It
Right.
should not be, oh, my kid brother's annoying the heck out of me and mom's mad at me.
Right.
None of that.
Right.
Okay. It's not the place to vent. Okay. It is not the place to vent. Now, let me take another side view of this and say there's the concept of online friends.
Mm-hmm.
My 7-year-old grandson at the time playing Roblox, there's other people playing in there. He cannot assume that he, A, knows these people at all. He doesn't. He doesn't know that it's a 40-year-old man behaving like a 10-year-old in there, something like that. Okay. So when you're in those sorts of environments where I'm posting, and much like the teenage girl who posted her picture in the bikini in the same situation, she didn't know exactly who she was posting this to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what else they were capable of, and what they might do with that information that was posted.
Right.
So we now know that friends online mean they're people you know who are online with you. Okay. It's, the pickleball club, whatever. Okay. It's online friends. You're in a game, you're in a tournament environment, you have chat, you have voice, and frequently you have video as
Mm-hmm.
well within
Mm-hmm.
those environments. And one now has to exercise really high levels of caution. So to have that conversation with the kids is kind of important. And it's real important that the parents realize this as well. I
Mm-hmm.
get very tired myself of going into a restaurant and, seeing a family come in and sit down. And because the kids are being a little bit boisterous or a little excited, mom hands out the iPads. The teenage daughter is told, just play with your cell phone. We want to have a quiet family meal, just amuse yourself. Oh, by the way, here's the access to the Wi-Fi so you can be online with everybody else.
Mm.
Okay. That's sort of problematic, is what I would say on that front. So it's important, I think, to have some tools to work with your kids and sort of stay close to what it is they're doing online. For young moms, the moms themselves may be in their mid to late 20s and feel that they have a great deal of knowledge about what's happening, but you don't necessarily know what the peer group is with the teens
Mm-hmm.
as to what pressures they're under and what they're learning from their peers as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Right.
One last story, then I'll let you ask a question if you have it.
Sure.
Okay. Um, there is a parent, a young parent, who said that she and her husband had a policy that there's no technology for the kids at all. They're just going to isolate them.
Mm.
No phones, no watches, no Apple TVs, nothing. We're just going to isolate them. They come to find out that their son, who's 13, has a Facebook page. Wow, how did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was simple. One of his buddies showed him how to do it and let him use his account to create it, and
Yep.
is letting him use his account to be online. And that's a super unsafe environment because there's almost no chance he's learning from just raw experience. And that can be a real problem across the board. You heard me talk about the various cyber crimes themselves. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they are vicious. Okay. We can talk about fraud taking something by trick or device. I mean, the
Right.
ability of an adult to produce trick or device over a teen, that's a problem.
No,
And
that is a
other
problem.
teens, cyberbullying,
Right.
harassment, the catfishing, all cyber stalking. Those are all very real potential problems that can confront the kids. And that's why that primary area is we have a safe harbor.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in trouble, you come. If you have something that happens, if your friends are bullying you online, if you're being harassed, whatever, okay, bring it to us. We will solve it together. And Dad and I won't be upset. Okay? That is the ideal thing to
Situation.
happen.
Right.
It's the ideal situation. And the reality is, it's an emotional situation too, and the
Right,
kids are in fear. And
right,
what you want to do is try to relieve that fear a bit and saying, look, things are going to happen.
right.
The reality is for almost every kid online, news, things are going to happen to almost every kid online.
Yep, yep, and it's true. Now, okay, speaking to the mama that, as you painted this picture, like you're not allowed to, no phones until you're however old, trying to help them avoid what's out there, avoid what they're seeing in their friends' kids. You can't have social media. We're not giving you an iPhone. You're not having an iPad. Now, what do you say to those parents about? And I agree with you. It's they're going to find a way, and
Mhm.
it's without your supervision. So, how do we talk to the mom that is so against having exposure to
Yeah,
technology?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the reality is technology's here with us now, no matter what. If
Mhm.
you take them for a drive in the car, guess what? The car's online, it's talking to Detroit. I mean, it's all there. Okay. So now it's really sort of having a plan and realizing, you know what? You've been fabulous. Love you very much. We're going to give you this and start working with you on it. And right now, the average age, I looked it up a couple days ago when kids receive that mobile phone, and we're talking about the average mean. A lot of, I didn't see what the median was, but the average mean was 11 years old.
Wow. Hmm.
Okay. So that's across the population itself. All right. So surrender, parents. The technology's here.
Yeah.
Okay. You may be using it at work. They see you using it. Your television set's got a lot in it. Heck, the refrigerator's got a lot in it.
True. Very true.
Okay. So at this point in time, it's now to have a plan that says, we're going to climb stairs together.
Hmm.
We're going to start with sort of with an easy introduction. We're going to play some games together that are like arcade games. We're going to show you how to communicate with mom and dad, and we're going to limit things. Now, here comes a little more. Here comes a little more. Here comes a little more. It's a stair step. But during that time, we always hear the term, and I love this because in talking to parents, they're not certain what it means. But we see everywhere, whether you look at the FBI, whether you look at universities, whatever, the first safety hit that they give you is keep personal information private.
Hmm.
Hmm. So, what exactly is that personal information? What is it defined as? If someone says, what's your name? Is that personal information?
Hmm.
If someone says, what's the weather where you're at? Personal information? Now, I can evolve that through something referred to as tradecraft that says, I just need to get you used to giving me things. I don't care what you give me at the start, just give me things and I'll ask for more and more and more and more and more. That's the technique.
Mm.
Okay. That's the prime technique. So defining what that personal information is and saying, the boundary is this. If you're playing a game and someone's chatting with you, the only thing you can respond to and chat about is related to the game. If you're in a group doing a group project with your friends, you can only talk about the project. Anything outside the project is actually personal information because a smart and intelligent person can gather information and begin to build a profile of this person, even though they can't see them, even though they can't talk to them. They can begin to build the profile. And that's what you really, really don't want. Okay.
Right.
And so having that conversation, and I'm sorry, repetition is the hallmark of good propaganda,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
This is a repeated topic for many years, many months, many weeks. Okay. And you give them examples.
Hmm.
Okay. And you also pose yourself as not being infallible. Okay.
Truth.
parents are looked at as, hey, they're sort of that infallible, strong, person who I can always rely on. No, they're not infallible.
Right.
They too can be caught out. Okay. And that's just the reality of human relations in my book.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, so that's one of the big items that I would say that has to come in our stair steps all the way through.
Hmm.
The next one is obviously you always hear, be careful what you post because whatever you post lasts forever,
Right.
right? Okay. So the reality is beginning to introduce that, okay? Some of their friends may use Facebook. Well, now they should work with you, the mom, to figure out how do I do this?
Hmm.
Okay. Hey, mom, I see you using LinkedIn for work. You're posting things. How do you know what to post and what not to post? And if they haven't thought about that, if the mom hasn't thought about that, news, they should.
Yeah. Being aware of
They
what
really
to post.
should.
Yes.
Okay. And knowing your privacy settings is a big one. And, there's many others, having a strong password, how to create a password, helping your kids create their first password, but, with them, not always reusing it. So there's some technique that you want to introduce as far as the passwords. But for the parent, starting young, say 11, all the way through the teen years, when there's an initial use of like a game, play the game with them.
Hmm.
You may not be as good. You may lose all the time. Okay. Yay, they're the winner. Okay. Sort of thing. Children absolutely learn quickly on their own and from their friends.
Hmm.
So as they learn things, the safe harbor is also a safe harbor for them just to have a discussion. What you'd like to get to is, hey, mom, hey, dad, I saw someone doing this online and I learned something new. Can I show you? Immediately pause, safe harbor active. It's active. Okay. Now, yeah, bring it here. Bring it on. Bring it on. Let's see what you got going. Okay. And then if it's not a good thing or something they should learn from, you can now have a low level, what I mean, low emotion discussion on the topic with them. And even if they don't believe you and they go do something silly that gets them sort of in trouble in some way, shape, or form, okay? Um, if they bring it back to you and they go, hey, so you learned from that, didn't you? That's a learning point. It's not a you're grounded for a month. No, it's a learning point. Okay. And
Hmm.
that's what you want their minds to understand. As they get older, the schools, they do, if I put them on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give them about a 3. This area, I'm sorry to say. They cannot be relied on.
Right.
Okay. But there are usually people in the school where they can reach out to the parents in some way, shape, or form if something not so good is happening.
Right.
Now, I brought up friends online. Those are the people you know outside. Things can change among groups of people.
Hmm.
Suddenly, your best friend for life hates you and is now doing things, saying things, creating pictures of you, and mental pictures largely of you that
Hmm.
are not good.
Right.
Okay. It is a form of cyberbullying. Okay. But it now needs to be mediated. And the main thing for the kids to understand is they may not be able to solve that problem on their own.
Hmm.
And the parents cannot become emotionally involved with the problem. There is very sad case where the mom took over in a bullying situation and took the account over and started bullying the girl back, and she committed suicide. Okay. Bad, 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 bad.
Yeah. Yes. We talk
Not
about
the approach.
social media responsibility and some of the things that we say behind the screen has a lot of ramifications, right?
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And I think knowing the personal information, speaking to them about chat and voice sessions, a technique that my daughter used with one of the grandkids is setting up a chat room because she's the older of the boys and having an interactive chat session with her son, okay, and using it as a learning piece to teach him how to be in a chat room,
Mm.
what to say, what not to say, and practicing sort of thing. And then, of course, that evolved into the family sort of communications as to how they can communicate as well. Okay, that sort of strategy kind of worked pretty well for her. May not work for everybody, but it worked very well for her in dealing with the boys.
I think that's a great strategy that we kind of overlook is the simplicity of what we assume that our kids can handle. It's like a chat room, you know,
Mhm.
that it is important how we walk them through navigating through a chat room, what's appropriate to say, what are appropriate questions, what is too much, information, you know?
And personally, I tend to carry this on. Um, I was had one of the boys with me when I went to the university, and I parked in a visitor parking stall, and I needed to scan a QR code in order to activate my parking pass for that location that I was at.
Mm.
And I brought him out of the car and I said, okay, I'm going to scan this QR code. You know how to do that. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know exactly how to do that. But do you know how to check if this is a fake QR code or not? And it
Hmm.
might do damage to me? And he goes, what? I go, yeah, people will put a sticker over this QR code to get me to scan their QR code, which may take me to a masquerading site for payment parking that's actually going to steal my information. So of course I scratched everything and looked at it. And then I said, now, as I activate the QR code, it's going to show me where it's taking me. I get to see the site that it's going to. Now I can check that site. Am I overly paranoid? Yes. Okay. But the reality is, I was just trying to use it as a small teaching moment for him.
Right. No,
Don't
and
scan everything you see.
it's also, yeah, not to take things for face value, especially when it comes to digital information, that there are sneaky people out there and that we just have to be more aware and vigilant
Yep.
about that.
So one of the areas that we're evolving to now a little bit is with artificial intelligence,
Hmm.
which is sort of the buzzword of the month. Okay. Um, there are artificial intelligent agents, but there is creative artificial intelligence as well, or generative AI is what it's referred to as. And the ability, I would be sort of in fear for the teen girl I told you about earlier who couldn't go to the beach nowadays, because frankly, the deep fakes could be derived. And if you had a voice sample of her from anywhere,
Mm.
a voice recording, you can teach the AI engine the voice. And now I have the image, the face, and the voice.
Which makes it come across that from a perspective that she's the one actually doing whatever it is
Is
that,
actually doing it.
yep,
It's correct. And it may be totally wrong and totally incorrect. And if that sort of information starts to boil up, be aware. Mom, you need help.
right, exactly,
Delineating a deep fake situation is going to take some professional help in order to do that, which means you're going to have to reach out to law enforcement. And if you're in a small town, the resources may be a little bit slim
mm,
uh, for doing that because it's not exactly simplistic to figure out where was this posted, what does the post look like, and what's the data that's associated with the post itself, because all of that can be altered.
right, exactly,
And now we have a deep fake. Okay.
yeah.
And we haven't seen a lot of that yet, but it's coming.
I actually was watching a video of how they created a picture from a young girl and made her into a full adult. And it was a parent watching it about how AI can
Yep,
really mess up her life and she hasn't even grown into it yet.
that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct. And those can be used for extortion. They can be used for extortion to cause the kid to go steal things from the parents and give it to the bad guy.
Hmm.
Okay. That's not unheard of. They can be used for an entire different range of harassment and bullying. And that's why having that help is important.
So now I'm sure the moms listening right now, they're just
Yeah,
biting
I
their
know. I'm
nails
not
right
trying to
now.
create fear. Not
They're
trying to
like,
create fear.
what do we do? I'm shutting down her account. She can never take a picture again. What advice would you give moms like who are thinking about their daughters who already have like an Instagram, a TikTok? I mean, my daughter
Yep.
has one as a dancer. So it's like, what do we do now that we know what's out there and what the possible things that can happen? How can we help support our moms and encourage them to help guide their daughters in the right way?
It's never too late to open the conversation. And it may take work. Okay. If you've had emotional conf confrontations with the kid in the past, you may have to work a little harder to get into that safe spot and that she trusts that it's safe.
Right.
Okay, is really what has to happen. It is never too late. Don't surrender. Don't give up. Okay, is the point in this area. It can only get worse in a variety of ways.
Mm.
Okay. The other side is there are kids who they themselves may become manipulative and may become heading down that road of trying to do not so good things in the cyberspace.
Mm.
Okay. And it's time to never give up. Don't surrender. We need to keep this in the fold because on the internet, there's always somebody better than you,
Right. Right. And
period.
that's true. That's
Just
true.
flat out. You're never the top dog.
I also think, like you were saying before, posting, being able to discern what you're posting and any action that you put out there, it's really guiding our girls, even our kids, how to like if I post this innocently for this, what are some possibilities that could happen? Would it be worth it?
Yeah, and you never know exactly from a creative standpoint. Especially myself included, working with the books and working with just information related to projects. It is very difficult to figure out what do I post, how do I post this, and who might interpret this in a funny way.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, I don't believe in being a troll online and, flaming other people and doing that sort of stuff. People will flame just for fun. Okay. So I think it's a matter of looking at it and saying if the child feels comfortable enough to say, hey, I'm about to post something like this, I'd like you to look it over. That's why I said having that sort of little family group chat where you're chatting amongst each other and you're posting amongst each other is not a bad idea. Something like WhatsApp and the parents, that the kids might be willing to play with
Right.
might be a good idea.
Right.
But the reality is, all kids learn by mistakes. They will make mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just need to try to make it a small mistake and
Hmm.
not a really, really bad mistake, sort of thing. Because
Exactly.
once you hit the send button, there's no real recall here.
Hmm.
Yeah, yes, you can go in later and delete things, but it's still there. And if the search engines have done their job, it could still be findable.
Hmm.
It's not going to go away.
Right.
And so that's kind of an important thing as well. As they get older, we can advance a little bit into understanding sort of how the network and some of the network technology works and how people are tracked online, that sort of thing. But that's a much more advanced topic, if you would. But a lot of what someone does online, whether it's a legitimate company, it could be Cox, who's the
Mhm.
cable TV provider. Cox can't necessarily see what you're posting because that's protected by SSL, which is a type of encryption.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's the interchange. But they can tell what you're asking to go to and to do, and they can tell the frequency of times that you do it.
Hmm.
Okay, because there's not to get too technical, it's called domain name resolution. So you say, I want to go to www.youtube.com. Well, your browser doesn't know how to do that. Your computer doesn't know how to do that at all. It has to go ask a registry server what the IP address is that they should communicate with, and it converts it to an address and makes the communication. When it
Mm.
does that, that's where Cox and other companies will begin to just add that to their database, add that to their list for you. And it's amazing how you can begin to profile a household based on just what they're asking to do. So we're already behind the eight ball with that. Okay, let's not add more information to this to this problem.
Right.
So
Okay, well, as we wrap this up, I mean, I feel this is so fascinating because, there, we think surface level of just being on social media and just being exposed to things, but we don't necessarily think about some of the dangers that are caused by being on social media or even just on technology in general, like
right.
gaming. Um, what would you what is one last thing you can tell moms? You've gave a lot of great strategies and tips on how to open that communication with the kids and that it's never too late. They get off this episode and they think of their daughter who has social media and TikTok and is very, very thrown into that. How could she possibly open a conversation with her about really um, looking into how she uses technology in a different way moving forward?
I think the main thing to do is start small.
Hmm.
Okay, and see if you can become a partner
Hmm.
largely. Okay, is what I would say. I wouldn't try to dive in and say, look, I want to talk to you about how you use technology. I mean, the
Yeah,
barriers will go up
right.
right away. Boom. Oh, great. It's one of those conversations. Again, it's back to that mom who said it's easier to talk to our kids about sex than it is cybersecurity.
Right.
So start small. Okay. Your goal right now is to sort of become more of a partner with them to some extent, and not so much an advocate, just sort of partner with them on it. Even if you take an approach that says, I'd like to learn a little more about this.
Mm.
Can you, daughter, teach me? Okay,
Hmm.
sort of thing, to begin to open that conversation up and then seeing where that conversation begins to lead. Your objective in the end of the day is to try to get her to basically say, look, there's things that work for posting and there's things that don't work for posting.
Hmm.
This is why on both sides,
Right.
okay, of the equation. I think it's really hard for kids to digest the subject of tradecraft as to how somebody begins small, stealing information from them, and begins growing that, because I'm getting you used to telling me things, telling me more, telling me more, telling me more. Okay, that is a very hard subject to sort of realize. And so you want to get to that point, but you want to start small.
I love that how you even also mention, have her talk about it,
Yeah,
because it really is like you kind of want to know what she knows about it too. And it's a great way to open the door to the subject of that. So,
teach me, teach me.
yeah.
Yeah, I hate to be using tradecraft with the grandkids and the kids, but sadly, it works both ways.
True, true. They
Teach
they
me,
still
teach
think,
me,
yeah, they
teach
still
me a
think they're
little more.
smarter.
Yeah. I need to
Okay,
get
well, thank
started.
you so much for gosh sharing your knowledge with us about technology and really bringing some value to moms. Where can they find you, Tom?
Well, I would suggest that the place to go is a website called think of like the way Apple does it with the lowercase I, digitaldetective.com. Okay, that website will provide a good deal of information. I also keep a sort of a video blog working in there as well with information, and it also leads them to the books. I am on LinkedIn. Searching for Tom Arnold on LinkedIn creates interesting things happening because you usually get that other guy who used to be married to Roseanne
Right.
Barr, but which is perfectly fine. So if you do Tom Arnold UNLV or Tom Arnold Digital Detective, you'll find me.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So, mamas, if you want more information, it probably opened up a whole can of worms for you just listening to this episode. I want you to go to idigitaldetective.com and you'll find more resources from Tom. Thank you so much, Tom.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me today.
Hey, friend, if this podcast inspired you or encouraged you or helped you in any way, I'd love for you to share it. You can screenshot this episode and share it in your stories on social media or text it to a friend who can use the support. It's the best way you can thank me. I want to let other mamas know they are not alone. I'd love to stay connected with you. You can find me at raisingherconfidently.com. Until next time, live full of grace, Jeannie.